Okay, I'm going to do a quick video version of some of the things Suko did and also answer a question that we got from Harry. This is going to be lightning fast, but hopefully the video screen recording helps. So I just opened a new project, a new map in GIS Pro. And the first thing I want to do is I want to get Suko's borough outlines and then isolate Manhattan. So I've Googled NYC open data, and here we are, and I'm going to search for borough, spelled like that. And the first thing that comes up is borough boundaries, GIS data, perfect. Right, shows us a preview. I'm going to go to export and export it as a shapefile, just the native SRE format, or ISRE, or however they say it. I'm going to save it, and I set up a folder already called demo, and I'll save it here. Now, Suko recorded where she got this data set. That is an extraordinarily good idea, and I would encourage you to do that. It's quite important, but for the sake of speed, I'm not going to. I'm going to extract it and delete the zip file. All right, and I'm going to go back over to my new map and close this. I don't know what this is here. Catalog, right? That's what we want. And I'm going to make sure that our folder is a location that we can access. And if I right-click, I can say Add Folder Connection. Here's my folder. I'm just going to copy that. This is my lazy cheat. All right, and I pasted it in. All right, so here it is. And there's borough boundaries, and you can see gives it this terrible name, but if we just drag it over here, right, it comes in. Now, it looks a little bit warpy, and it looks a little bit warpy because, you know, the default map projection is not the map projection that we want. So the way we can do that is how? Right-click on the map and go to Properties, and under Coordinate Systems, this is the way she did it. She said, we type in New York. All right, and the one we're looking for is going to be in NAD 83, which is, it's basically just a datum for the North American datum of 1983. I guess updated in 2011 using State Plane, Long Island. And basically what that means is it's centering its projection on Long Island, which means that way that the things closest to the center, in this case Long Island, are going to be least distorted. Right, so we click that, seems better. And I'm going to celebrate by saving, and we'll save it in our same location. Copy. And we'll call it demo map with today's date. Okay. All right, so the next thing I want is I want to isolate Manhattan. And kind of the best way to do that often is to select it and then to go over here and right-click and say Data, Export Features. And so basically, by default, what it's going to do is only export the features that are selected, which in this case is Manhattan. So let's call it Manhattan. And click Run. All right, and you can see that, you know, right now we have our feature set, our sort of layer with one feature, and it's Manhattan. And what I want to do is I want to unselect everything. There we go, clear selection. All right. So I'm going to turn that off. Now, the next thing I want is this Pluto data set, which has tax lots and a wealth of other information. So I'm going to go back to NYC Open Data here. And I'm going to search for Pluto. It's a data set that I happen to know exists. And you can see what it stands for is Primary Land Use Tax Lot Output. Right, so it's the tax lots with land use. And there's a version here that's the one with that's spatialized, right? This one I think is just the table, and this one has the actual shapefile associated with it. So I'm going to click on that, and let's see, how do we do this again? I guess we have to go to the website to access the data, and we don't want the CSV, that's just, the table, comma separated values. We want the one, the shapefile with the shoreline clipped. Right, so I'm going to go there, and I'm going to say save, and I'm going to, bring it back over here. This is my map Pluto, save. All right. Now over here, I'm going to go back, and I'll extract it. And delete the zip file just to keep life clean. It's great. Yes. And now we can go back over here. We can close out of that, close out of that. And remember, if we go here, click on the 3 lines and refresh, right? You can see, there we go. Now I can just drag it over. All right, and what we should see eventually, right, is that this is like all the tax lots in the city. Or, I don't know, for some, should be all the tax lots in the city. I have no idea why Queens is not represented. But we have all of Manhattan, so let's just roll with it. So what I want to do, right, is because we have all of this extraneous stuff, no disrespect to the Bronx, and I want to be able to clip it just to Manhattan. So one thing you can do is you can select by location, right? And we want input features in map Pluto, which is this, and the relationship is intersect. Oh, you can see, okay, I guess it was just being slow. You can see Queens is coming in now, right? It's so big that it takes forever, right? And the selecting features, we're going to use our Manhattan features. So this is saying like everything on map Pluto that intersects with Manhattan, we're going to make that a new selection, and we're going to say run. Now, this is going to take a second. Fortunately, I have a beast of a machine, so hopefully it won't take that long. There we go. All right. Fun fact: Roosevelt Island's part of Manhattan. Right. So now we have these selected, and we can use the same trick again, where we right-click here, and we do Data, Export Features, and we're exporting them. And it's going to export just the selected features. So let's call this Manhattan Pluto and run it. Why did you fail? Let's see. Why did that happen? All right, I don't know how to pause the recording, so let's just figure it out. See, it's not just Suko. Weird things happen to everyone. So, input features, output location. Question is, can we output this as a shapefile rather than features to feature class? Can we just output it here? Export features. Export. Hmm. Let's just try it maybe without spaces. Okay, that seems to have worked. Now, for some reason, I'm exporting to a geodatabase as opposed to a shapefile, and I'm not exactly sure why that is. I have to admit, this version of GIS is kind of new to me. But in any event, I'm going to run with it, because one thing that you can do, looks like, is there is a way to convert it and save it as a shapefile. But I'm not going to worry about that right now. So you can see what I have now is I have the sort of map Pluto, but just clipped to Manhattan. Because what I did again was I opened the full map Pluto, and I went over here and I said select by location, and I select all the things that intersect my Manhattan outline. Okay, so now let's say you have another data set, like this energy and water data disclosure for local law 84, that you're interested in spatializing. So how would you do that? So first thing you want to do is you want to export it. And I admit I tried this before, I had some problems with it, and this is what I was able to glean is the best way to do that. I'm going to export it as comma-separated values for Excel. And I'm going to save it. All right. And we'll just save it here. And then I am going to open it in Excel. So here's our CSV. I'm going to say open. Now, what this is just a text file where every line is separated by a comma, or every column is separated by a comma. So we're going to say it's delimited, and next, and it's delimited by a comma, and next. And then here's the thing that's super helpful, right? This is going to be important because we're going to need to match one field in this data to one field in the Pluto data, because this doesn't have any shape outlines. It doesn't have the lots. But what it does have, you'll notice somewhere over here, is a field called BBL, which we talked about. It's borough, block, and lot, which is a unique identifier for every tax lot. But I think that the thing that's important is that's a 10-digit number right here, BBL, 10 digits. But we want to treat it like it's text. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to go over to the end here. I'm going to hold down Shift, and I'm going to tell Excel to treat everything as text and click Finish. Right? So right now, even though this is a number, if that number started with a leading 0, right? If it were treating it as a number, it would just remove the 0. But since it's treating it as a text, it's treating it more like a code. So I'm going to say Save. And I'm going to put it in our right here. And we'll call it, what's the name of this? Energy and water. Call it energy. And I'm going to save it as an Excel workbook. Okay. So to go back to GIS, right? If I go back here and I refresh, right? Here's my energy and water XLS. If I drag it in, you can see that it looks like nothing's happening. But I should have seen it. Oh, it's because, sorry, what it wants me to do is click on that little arrow. Here's something super important that I learned. A lot of times Excel puts a lock on a file. So make sure you quit out of Excel. Just quit out of Excel. All right, yeah, see we got this error. I'm going to try going back here, and I'm going to refresh. Oh, come on now. There we go, refresh. And now when I click the little down arrow, I think what it's doing is it's looking for workbooks inside the Excel file, and before it couldn't open the Excel file because Excel had it open. So, right, now we can drag this over here, and it's adding the data. And you can see nothing adds to the map. Why does nothing add to the map? Because there's no shapes, no outlines, nothing associated with it. But if I go over here and I say open, it'll open up the table, right? And you can see we've got this BBL, 10 digits. So over here, right, if we open our Manhattan Pluto and we open the attribute table, right, you can see it's got a whole lot of stuff. And somewhere in there is also a BBL, right? There it is, BBL. And so what we want to do is have a way of saying, use these shapes and join it to the data in this other table. So the first thing I want to do before I do that, though, is I want to maybe get rid of some of the extra stuff. Now, this has got plenty of useful things, right? And you can use it, you could use it to make a map of all the sort of landmarks or tax lots with buildings that were built before a certain year, all sorts of interesting stuff, right? But what I want to do is just use it for its footprints and its BBL. So I'm going to make sure nothing is selected. And then I am going to go here and I am going to say data, export features. And I'm going to name that feature class Manhattan footprints. What I'm going to do is I'm going to go and just over here, where is it? I'm going to select everything that's not BBL and click remove. Like literally all of it, right? Remove. Right, so that way when I export it again as Manhattan footprints, I don't have all this extra stuff in my table. All right. Okay, it's a good idea. Let's close this. And you can see, like, all the footprints are still there. It still looks the same. All right. So now let's just celebrate by saving here. The last thing I want to do is I want to join this data to these shapes. And here's how you do it. I'm going to say joins and relate, add join. And it says, you know, our layer is Manhattan footprints, right? And the field that we're going to use is BBL, because that's the field in Manhattan footprints that has the information that we can use to say which line from the other table. Now, our other table here is already selected for us. It's our energy and water data table there. But here, the field is called something different. It's called BBL 10 digits, right? And then lastly, here, I want to uncheck keep all the target features, because what that's going to do, right, in this new table that has our energy stuff, right, it doesn't have a listing for every lot. It's only got the lots that are relevant. So if we unclick keep all target features, what it's going to do is in our new joined layer, it's only going to keep the layers from the Manhattan footprints that have a corresponding line in our energy and water table. So I'm going to click run. All right, so it says that was completed. All right, so now if we go here and we, I don't know, change its symbology so that we could see it. That didn't really do it. Let's make it. I don't know how to just pick a color, but let's pick a red, right? And then I'll turn on that underneath, right? So you can see that my red footprints are the ones that have data associated with them. And if I, select one like that one, and right-click on it and say attributes, right? It now has all the attributes that it got from the attribute table in that Excel file that we imported, but they're now tied to the footprints in the map Pluto footprint that we stripped of all its original data. And so what you could then do is you could then export that as a shapefile, and maybe it's a question for Suko, how to do this as a shapefile and not a geodatabase, but at very least it's here in your map, and I'm going to click save. And hopefully that's relatively